You're not going to get rich from photography, and especially car photography. And it doesn't matter how good your photos are. That's just the bottom line. Stick around to the end because I'm also going to reveal part of the blueprint that I used to go full-time content media production. Let me take a seat in my chair and I'll see you guys in a minute. Well, everybody, welcome back to the Cruiser Media channel. I am your host, Nick, also known as Cruiser, also known as Cruiser Media. And today, we're going to address the elephant in the room of why photography is almost impossible to go full-time in 2025. And we're also going to talk about the steps that you can take to kick your content production, to motion towards full-time content / media production. I'm gonna be honest. I recorded this video twice previously, and both of the times that I recorded this video, I scrapped the project. I was done with the project. I couldn't do it because I didn't properly plan it out. So this time, we've got possibly one of the most structured videos on the channel. Oh, my microphone is kind of being gay. I don't know what the hell's going on with this mic. The clip is like actually retarded. And I don't understand why I just cannot like figure out how to clip it properly. And neither can anybody that I'm recording with these lav mics. They're like, how the hell do you work with this? And I'm like, you know what, honestly, I don't know. Just clip it to your fucking nipples. Nearly impossible to go full time just by taking photos. It doesn't matter how incredible your photos are. The possibility of going full time with just photos is basically non-existent anymore. And it's because of the market oversaturation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can refer to my last video where I was talking about car photographers in specific and the market oversaturation and how that affects the industry. So I'm not really going to dive too deep into the term market oversaturation, but if you do want more of an in-depth explanation, just refer to the previous video. I'll have a link in the description below if I'm not too lazy. So many different categories of photography that so many of the OG people who have, I mean, there's tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s of photographers out there, many of which who have been around for 2 to 3 decades. And as with everything, the industry changes. There's oversaturation pretty much everywhere you go. But in this case, the market oversaturation is so bad that there's a very fine line that separates the OG crowd from the new age crowd. And me, I've only been doing this for just a little under a decade, so I'm part of the new age crowd. I'm not part of the OG crew, the OG photographers. Now, I do every single aspect of photography: food, events, parties, family portraits, weddings, senior portraits, you name it. Pretty much every type of photography, except for product photography, I have dipped my toes into and am fairly reputable. Now, does that mean that I get a ton of business? Absolutely not. I've shot 4 weddings. I've shot a handful of senior portraits. I've shot a handful of family portraits, but those are like far and few between. And there's actually a very specific reason as to why some of these categories of photography are kind of falling off the face of the planet. So we're going to touch on that in the next segment. But there are just so many people around me. Like if you search photographers near me, wedding photographers, portrait photographers, you are going to get outshadowed every single time in your area, and most likely it doesn't even matter where you are. If you're new and you are not a familiar face, you don't have that much of a reputable name on Google or any of these other sites that all of the boomers use, you are going to get shafted extremely hard. So market oversaturation is of course going to be pretty much the #1 reason as to why it's almost impossible to go full-time photography. Everybody has essentially a professional camera in their pocket with them 24/7. It is right there, right here. This is the camera. If they want Christmas cards or family portraits, they're not going to reach out to a photographer to potentially pay upwards of $1,000 for a family photo session for Christmas cards to send out. No, they're going to set the phone up somewhere and they're going to take self-timer pictures next to the Christmas tree. Same thing with senior portraits. I have seen so many senior portraits, and I've spoken with people who have done their senior portraits on their smartphones. And that's just the reality of how we're living today. Photography for smaller jobs is so much more of a luxury item now for many different reasons, but it's not just a like, oh, I need a photographer to come out and shoot my kids' senior portraits. No, it's such a luxury type of service now that not everybody can afford it, nor do they care, because like I said, they basically have a professional camera in their pocket. Now, of course, it's not going to touch, the mirrorless or the DSLRs. It just can't. It's never going to be like that unless they have legitimate like optical lenses. They have gotten absolutely incredible from where they started, and they are insane machines when it comes to photos, but they just cannot do everything that a mirrorless camera can. But along with the takeover of smartphones, I mentioned that it's more of a luxury service now, and that truly is. It is such a competitive space now that everybody's undercutting everybody, everybody's charging ridiculous prices. The gear itself is wildly expensive, and so people are trying to feed their families as well. So it's an extremely cutthroat industry. People are undercutting everybody at all corners, and it's fucking expensive. It is so fucking expensive now that unless you have something that you really want professionally covered, chances are you're not going to pay for the service. It is since turned from a common, regular thing to do to now it's a luxury service. And just the bottom line is not everybody has the pockets deep enough to do it or want to do it, because like I said, they have a camera in their back pocket. That overall addresses the majority of the problems with the photography industry. I'm assuming that you are into cars, you shoot cars, or you do photography to some extent. That's why you're here. That's why you clicked on the video. So where do you go from photography? If you're kind of lost, I hear you 100%. I still feel lost, and I would consider myself fairly successful as a full-time content creator or media producer. So right now, you're a photographer, okay? We're gonna look at this in steps, all right? So this is the blueprint. Of course, firstly, you have your foundation, okay? Your foundation is photography. And you want to take this from a side gig to a full-time gig. So here is exactly what you can start doing to change the course of your wanted career shift. You need to establish yourself on social media or on the internet at some point because you need a trustworthy brand. Now, I know you've heard the term personal brand before. I thought that it was a huge joke when I first started, but it's not. Now, you need to establish yourself on some sort of social media platform, get your name out there, start building your brand, and get yourself out there more. That is really what it's about. You need to have trustworthy content. You need to put yourself out there. As uncomfortable as it's going to be, what you want is the most high ticket. You don't want any of that brain rot stupid shit where you open up with a crazy hook and then you have like a 15-second explanation of what's going on. No, you want to build an audience around your high value subjects. Hence why I'm doing YouTube. It's not going fantastic, but I'm going to keep doing it because the people who do watch my videos are high value individuals and they see the value in what I'm saying. I don't want to fill my audience with a bunch of brain rot retards. I want there to be sustenance within my videos that you guys can take for yourself and learn and grow from. Learn from my mistakes and figure out what the hell to do. I am here to help out, share my knowledge, because I've been in probably everybody's shoes. I failed several times before becoming successful within this industry. So we've got our foundation, which is photography. We've talked about the personal brand, the brand development that you need to build. You need to be trustworthy. You need to be open. You need to be able to talk. Talking is something that closes deals, which being on camera helps you talk to other people. And it's very difficult talking to high net worth and very prestigious individuals. It's very hard, super intimidating, but I promise you, if you start even just recording videos by yourself and you start talking well, speaking easier, stop using filler words like eh, that makes you sound like a fucking idiot. Videography is the next wave. It's replacing photography in several different industries. And it's the next high ticket service that you can sell not only to small businesses, but huge businesses alike. So motioning towards video, it has to happen if you want to go full time. Now, that being said, there's a lot of practice, and it's like a never ending spectrum of learning. You are constantly going to be learning no matter what level you get to in videography. There's always something more that you can learn. You put more time into it, you put more effort, you purchase better gear, etc. It just is a never ending uphill battle. So you've got your videography. So now you're pitching to clients your brand, your photography success, your videography success. So what's after that? What else would make you a desirable individual to hire for a small business or a semi-big business? A little secret here, all right? Social media management. Boom! Holy shit, but Nick, I have no fucking idea how to manage social medias. Yeah, neither did I. I had no idea what I was doing. When I sold my initial client on my retainer package, I said, I will offload social media from you, the owner. You never have to look at it again. You never have to touch it. It will be completely in my hands. I had no idea what I was doing. But since then, I've made painting look like literally watching paint dry is a hot commodity. I have gotten them collectively over 13 million views across just the Facebook platform, and grown them from 50 followers on Facebook to over 15,000 organically. Now, was that success overnight? Abso-fucking-lutely not. I had no idea what I was doing when I closed this deal to the owner. I was shitting my pants because I had no idea how to manage social media. But now, this advice isn't great for everybody because you could end up catastrophically failing. But when I put myself in a hot situation, I am not going to stop until I know exactly what the fuck I am doing. And I am going to search from cover to cover of the internet to figure out exactly what I need to do to be successful at what I just signed myself up for. So I did a shit ton of research. And now I manage socials for 3 different companies, 2 of which are painting companies, 1 is undisclosed, and 1 is currently in the works. I had successfully converted a business who was using a marketing agency, one marketing agency to run ads and to do their social media management. They had another guy who was editing content for them, and this is like VFX, graphic design, stuff like that. And then they had somebody else shooting video and somebody else shooting photos. So that's 4 different companies, sub-companies, that I just wiped out when I went in there and said, well, I shoot video, I shoot photos, I do graphic design, I know how to edit videos, and I manage social media. You essentially have brought 4 different necessities all into one. And that's the goal here. You need to sell services that people need, that businesses need, because it is impossible to do any one thing and call it good. You will not reach your goals. You will not be able to go full time. So you need to replace everybody that gets outsourced. Do everything so that the people who are featured in the content or the owners of the business and the content don't have to lift a finger. So scripting, writing, and it's so easy, guys. Guys, it is so easy. You use ChatGPT for all your hooks. It's so easy. You spend maybe a few hours at the end of every week, boom, 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 knocking out scripts. You've got a paper filled with like 15 video ideas for your next shoot day with that client. It's easy money. It is easy money. You are the package deal. That is what you're selling. You're selling yourself, you're selling your brand, and you're selling knowledge. You're selling, not only are you selling yourself, your brand, your services, but you are also selling convenience. Solve the issues. Don't try to sell a product. Sell the solution. And I know you've heard that before. That is not my saying. As much as I wish it was, it is not. You are selling a solution. You are the all-in-one package here. You take every single outsourced person that they have and you take over everything. And it is going to be a lot of work. But if your goal is to ultimately do this full time and you want to take it seriously, you have got to do this. And you have got to put in the time. It is going to be a lot of work. You will effectively be working 24/7. But you can hear it from me that once you get into the swing of things, it is so worth it. All of the hard work, don't get me wrong, I'm still in the trenches and I have considered myself successful up to this point, but I've got goals way, way beyond. So if you take one thing away from this video, I hope that it motivates you and kind of gives you a little baseline idea of how to break outside of the chains of photography, because it is hard. It's hard. That you enjoyed the video, and if you did, let me know in the comments below. Smash the shit out of that like button if it kind of helped you out, and I will see you all in the next video.